All courses of action are risky, so prudence is not in avoiding danger, it's impossible, but calculating risk and acting decisively. Make mistakes of ambition, and not mistakes of sloth. Develop the strength to do bold things, not the strength to suffer. Power is the pivot on which everything hinges. He who has the power is always right, the weaker is always wrong. Politics have no relation to morals. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. A government which does not trust its citizens to be armed is not itself to be trusted. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. A sign of intelligence is an awareness of one's own ignorance. Always assume incompetence before looking for conspiracy. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Women are the most charitable creatures and the most troublesome. He who shuns women passes up the trouble, but also the benefits. He who puts up with them gains the benefits, but also the trouble. As the saying goes, there's no honey without bees. The ends justifies the means. Before all else, be armed. You know better than I that in a republic talent is always suspect. A man attains an elevated position only when his mediocrity prevents him from being a threat to others. And for this reason a democracy is never governed by the most competent, but rather by those whose insignificance will not jeopardize anyone else's self-esteem. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past, for human events ever resemble those of preceding times. This arises from the fact that they are produced by men who ever have been, and ever shall be, animated by the same passions, and thus they necessarily have the same results. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. It is just as difficult and dangerous to try to free a people that wants to remain servile as it is to enslave a people that wants to remain free. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. One of the great secrets of the day is to know how to take possession of popular prejudices and passions in such a way as to introduce a confusion of principles which makes impossible all understanding between those who speak the same language and have the same interests. There is nothing as likely to succeed as what the enemy believes you cannot attempt. Never was anything great achieved without danger. A battle that you win cancels all your mistakes. The more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Men are so stupid and concerned with their present needs, they will always let themselves be deceived. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. Make no small plans, for they have no power to stir the soul. Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. Entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage. Wars begin when you will, but they do not end when you please. For the great majority of mankind are satisfied with appearances as though they were realities, and are often more influenced by the things that seem than by those that are. The leader should know how to enter into evil when necessity commands. The state is not an organism capable of bringing either moral or material improvements to the populace, but merely a vehicle of power for the men and party in power. Rome remained free for 400 years and Sparta 800, although their citizens were armed all that time. But many other states that have been disarmed have lost their liberties in less than 40 years. A wise ruler should rely on what is under his own control, not on what is under the control of others.